everyone. Welcome to the Pharmacy Friday podcast. My name is Jason Benedict, and I'm one of the co-founders of RX Ambassadors, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Dr. Amit Kakar from Avalon Pharmacy. Hey, Amit, how are we doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. How are you, Jason?
I love it. I love it. It's another Friday. I love doing this every week, and excited to jump in. So each week we invite a few independent pharmacy owners to join us as guest speakers on the podcast. We'll select one guest speaker at a time to interview. However, we do encourage our guest speakers to engage and ask questions via our chat box. So thank you for joining us on the Pharmacy Friday podcast. We're happy to have you here. Please tell us your first and last name and a little bit about your pharmacy name as well.
Hey, my name is Joy. First name, last is Tekobo. There's a little tongue twister, but that's my name. I've been a pharmacist for practically all my adult life, and we are in Grayson, Georgia. We work principally with palliative and hospice care. And we also do some independent retail pharmacy.
Beautiful. And what's the name of your pharmacy?
It is Covenant Health Pharmacy.
Covenant Health. Beautiful. So you specialize, I believe, in like the geriatric side of pharmacy. Is that correct as well?
Yes.
Okay, great. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's played a role in helping to serve and support, more of your community.
I guess it started, let me say, on its own, because initially I did not set out to actually focus on the geriatrics, but it seemed as if they gravitated towards pharmacy. So a couple of years ago, I took the geriatric boards, and I just had because also of my parents, I just had a soft spot for that population, because I noticed that quite a number of them had, except you have a trained eye, they had a lot of medication-related problems that they would be thinking is a new problem. But I noticed that in that population, you have quite a number of them who have multiple providers because of multiple chronic issues. And a lot of times these providers are not talking to one another. And they also sometimes do not know the right things to do when you go to a new provider. So you end up seeing duplications, overlaps, and eventually they end up with what you call polypharmacy. So, you just notice that their list keeps growing. And as the list grows, their health goes down. It's like, the more they take, the worse they feel. The worse they are. So that was the reason why I actually got interested in that population. And I've been working with them for quite a while. And it's been very rewarding too.
Yeah, it sounds like it. A lot of the, messages that we hear from pharmacists is about their passion, right? They're passionate about what they do. And sometimes that passion leads us down a path that we don't always anticipate, but there's a reward along the way that we learn and grow from. So do you just have the one location, or are you own multiple locations?
For right now, but of course, definitely in the future, we would have multiple. So.
All right. Well, Anderson, who was on just a moment ago, has 5 locations. He'd be a great person to learn from and, tap into that knowledge and resource. So, Amit, what questions do you have for you, Joy? And have you thought about leveraging more of the geriatric side in your pharmacy?
Yeah. Hi, Joy. A pleasure to meet you. My name is Amit, and I also have a retail pharmacy for the past 25 years. We have very similar demographics of elderly patients, geriatrics, and I find like this is the future of pharmacy, right? With the polypharmacy and being the sort of taking the front stage, helping out the physicians in there. So I'd love to see that. So I'd love to ask you, what type of challenges do you see in some of your patients that you'd love to share?
Well, I would say there's the challenge to the patients themselves, and there's challenges to the pharmacy. Let me start with the challenges to the patients, which is like some of the things I already mentioned. With the patients, I noticed that the way pharmacy is built right now, the way the whole system is set up, I would say it does not really favor the patient. Well, nor does it really favor the pharmacist either, because the PBMs have pretty much decided what happens and what does not happen. A lot of the patients need more time. How do I put it? as far as counseling is concerned, as far as really helping them get benefit, because it's one thing to have your medication, it's another thing to actually have the benefit out of it. They have a list of medications, and sometimes you ask them, so why did your doctor put you on that? I mean, I'm not sure what this is doing on your list. So Miss X, why you? We say, I have no idea. I don't know. They didn't tell me, but they just added it to my list, and I've been taking it for such and such and such. And sometimes too, to even reach the provider to really have a deep down conversation so that the patient can be truly helped can be challenging too. And then when you look at the other things you have to do, I mean, from an economic standpoint, can I really justify spending this much time with this patient? I mean, you are checking, even the reimbursement is negative. You are just helping the patient out of the goodness of your heart. So I would say, well, that is a patient challenge. And the other side of the challenge is the challenge to the pharmacy. Like you all know, every year, a lot of times the coverage changes. I don't know, but in Georgia, you hardly have a patient who has the same coverage, 2 years running. And you have this patient with you, they have built relationships with you, you have built relationships with them, they want to work with you. And then maybe they're on a brand name for their condition, and you run their script and you realize that, you know what, I do not have the strength to make a $600 loss on the reimbursement. And it's not the kind of thing you can tell the patient, well, would you like to pay for it? They simply cannot afford to pay for it. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of complex issues going on in the pharmacy world right now. I do not say I have all the answers. It takes really having a passion for the profession to remain in independent pharmacy and do things the right way. That's what I would say for right now. You must really have a passion. It has to come from your heart for you to be in the business and do the right things with, I mean, it's just a lot of, I mean, I don't know about other places, but Georgia, and now it's just a lot of complex reimbursement issues going on.
100%. We're in California, very, very similar situation. We have quite a few pharmacists who are hearing a lot of, especially January. I feel like every year is challenging, right? Especially, the restructuring in 2024. But we're in California, we're in the same boat. And 100% it comes down to that connecting, right? If you can connect with the patient at the same time, too, your resources are limited, right? I mean, and you do the best you can. I mean,
yeah.
Joy, one of the things that Amit is doing to kind of innovate in his spaces and to create revenue streams that are not have all these regulations is he's identified a way to really leverage and automation and also collecting patient information and data such as emails and phone numbers so that he can engage with them outside of the pharmacy. And so Amit has been actually building an online course and a membership to where he can now take those patients and now create content that's something that he's passionate about. So I'd love for maybe you to share that with Joy to maybe help her to understand how she can think innovatively to create, maybe new revenue streams or opportunities in her business.
Yeah, thank you, JB. What we've done, Joy, with the help with Jason and RX Ambassadors, is we've taken about 4 years ago when COVID hit, we started collecting emails. And that was the only way for us to get in touch with the patients and to actually be able to connect with them outside of the pharmacy. Because I'm sure for you as well, you're back there filling prescriptions. How often do we get to interact with the patient? And that was one of my biggest challenges. So once we started collecting these emails, we started building from ground zero. We've now built up to 5,000 of them. And now we send out weekly content, whatever your passions are. I personally like to focus on diet and mental health, the relationship between diet and mental health. And I've noticed we have a larger geriatric population of patients that suffer from not just geriatric, but in general, from mental health conditions. So I've noticed just engaging with them on a weekly basis, just having them see, for example, they would see Joy every week on a video or a newsletter or something that your passion, you share. And the engagement has been tremendous of patients coming in and just thanking us, like, thank you for this information. And eventually, what I'm actually doing is developing a course that will be available for purchase on the relationship between diet and mental health. But any particular subject that you're passionate about, I'm sure there's so many of them, they would love to hear from you. And you get the opportunity to interact with patients whom you've probably, honestly, I didn't know we had this many patients, and this many patients are engaging back and forth. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll be honest with you. I didn't realize the importance of, or excuse me, the amount of geriatric patients that use their phones and emails. I was actually shocked. And it's funny because I told Jason this story. Our patients don't really use the emails and the phones. You know, this technology generation, they're not there. I'm going to tell you, they really are. And it's amazing. And that's their access to you. And so you can send one message to 5,000 people that you maybe can, you know, in the past engage with 3 or 4. But that's sort of one of the paths that we've taken. And we've also started something which we're in the process of doing, is doing a smoking cessation program. That's another program I'm working on with patients. But just different ideas and different avenues that we've done, that it's really been tremendous, the impact. And we're seeing it now, but it's been built over the last few years. So
Thank you for that, Alyssa. I gained something from that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we love doing this podcast every Friday, is we like to bring on pharmacists and talk about the real world challenges that you're facing, right? And create a community where each week you can get answers and learn from other pharmacists to what they're doing and what they're implementing. Joy, maybe tell us a little bit about your staff and your structure. How many people are on your team, and what are some of the roles and positions that they play to help to engage with your patients?
Thank you. I guess during COVID, we had up till then we had let me see, like about 8 of us during COVID. But post COVID, there has been a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of changes. Some of the hospices that we worked with had internal issues, soul got bought over, so many things changed. So that right now, I have one full-time person. She's our manager, so all things manager, and I have another person that delivers and all of that. So that person that acts as a manager also works. I do not like to use her on the bench as much as possible, because I like to keep her on administrative stuff, just let her be her specialty, paperwork, all of that. Then the other person who does the delivery for me is part-time. So it's kind of with what we have, because I have to work with my numbers, I have to look at what is going on, look at my trends, what we can really, keep our pharmacy alive, so to speak.
Yeah.
So right now we are basically 3 as we speak. We are just 3 right now. So me, myself, and the manager, and then the extra person that does all the outside stuff for us.
Small but mighty, Joy. Small but mighty, right? We can do great things when we put ourselves in the right position, the right mindset. I know Mitt is very big on mindset as well. And whether you have 3 staff or 10 or 15 staff, it's about the impact that you can make and the time. And obviously, you're spending time right now to come in and share your story. And that's kind of the challenging, right? Is you got to juggle time, juggle staff, juggle finances, juggle the regulations. Joy, maybe you could share one thing that you've done in the last year. Have you created partnerships? Have you mentioned the hospice side of things? Maybe tell us something that's helped to create maybe growth or innovation within your pharmacy as you've been going through these challenges.
The only thing I can say that I did that was different last year, because I'm still in the process of creating changes, charting, my best path for the future and all whatnot. But last year I went into the, I got accepted, so to speak, into the Goldman Sachs entrepreneurship program. And how do I put it now? With that program, the focus of the program is not really to actually help you with your existing business. What the program aims to do is to kind of enlighten you as to something that makes for growth that one never considered. For my pharmacy, we have a compounded cream that we made in-house, and we just displayed it in our pharmacy. So some of our customers that purchase some, we get repeat purchases from them, and a few people around the neighborhood. So I just thought of, okay, so what would be my growth plan? Because that's the essence of the program. We started, I think in September, we're going to end in May. They fly you to New York, you sit in a room with all the other CEOs and all of that. And it was the cream. So we have a growth plan. that we have developed. We have what needs to go into it for it to be profitable. I would say that's really the main thing I've done, just to make that bigger, just to kind of commercialize it instead of just making it a small thing. Because I mean, we've had a level of success with it, even though it was not a main, for us, it was not supposed to be like a main revenue driver. But it
Yeah.
kind of enlightened us that, okay, we could do more with this. So
Yeah.
that's, I
Tell
would say
us about
that's what I've done.
Tell us about the cream. Tell us what does the cream do? Who is it for? So our other
Okay.
listeners can kind of glean some information from this.
Okay, there's a story behind the cream. My mom, who has passed on now recently, was diabetic. And strangely, one of the complications she had was this psoriasis that would not budge in spite of everything that was tried or that was used. And along the line, I really cannot tell you the details, but along the line, there were these natural ingredients from out of West Africa, which is really my background, that I now thought of, okay, why don't I put this together? Let's try this. Because I mean, it was so bad that if she sat in a place, when she got up, she would have shed, her skin would be on the chair.
Mm.
Would have, I mean, it was not the regular kind. It was really tough. So I compounded the cream with some percentages of ingredients, put them together, and she started trying them. And to our amazement, it started, I mean, we began to see improvement. We began to see improvement. So I now thought, okay, if it could help her, it probably could help other people. So instead of just making a batch just for her to try, just for her to, let's do something different, I began to package it for sale. So I handed it over to my hairdresser. Okay, just display it in your store. See people, and people started purchasing it from there. So that's the story behind the cream. So we just started making like small batches. We gave out samples. When people came into the store for their business, they just show interest, purchase some, then they'll come back and get some more, and anybody could use them. So I mean, we now even ship them to people that are not in the state. We say, well, they would like to have some. They would like to, I mean, people can come from different places, even though we didn't really push it. We didn't really like push it aggressively, but we noticed that it was like trying to succeed by itself. So that's the story behind the crew.
I love it. You had a problem, right? And it was obviously a close family member, your mother,
Yes.
and you saw that problem and you used your talents and abilities to create and innovate a cream that could actually help her. And doing so, you actually ended up helping more of your community. So I love that story, Joy. I think that's like the entrepreneurial story, that you love to hear about, right? Is there's a challenge, you created a solution with innovation, and it started to take off. And then you productize it, right? And so I think you've got something there behind that, Joy. I would really kind of dig into how you could get that product and that cream out in the marketplace and get more eyeballs on it. Because I know when I'm sure Amit's thinking, oh, what's that cream? And how could I maybe offer that to, some of my patients? So there's a lot of power in partnership between you and the other pharmacists that maybe don't have that special cream that you've created. So I encourage you to really dig into that and try and get that out in the marketplace.
Well, thank you.
And Joy, I'd love to share the cream with my patients as well. What's the name of your cream? What did you decide to name it?
Okay, I named it after my mom, Nola. I named it Nola because her name is Nola. So I named it after my mom. And one of the ingredients, if there's not all the ingredients, I named it Nola's Share. Nola's Share, Shea. Nola's Share is what I call it.
Beautiful.
But it's not really commercially available because I'm not really, but it's part of my growth plan for my Goldman Sachs class this year to expand it and do more with it.
Yeah, sounds like you've got a winning product and a winning solution there, Joy. Definitely encourage you to stick with it and think about how you can partner with other pharmacists and get that product in their hands, and how you can scale that, right? That could be a whole new revenue and growth stream for you that you didn't have last year, but it's something that was created out of a need and can really serve and support people. And I love the fact that you brought it from the roots of Africa, from where you're from, and brought this ingredient into and helping to support people with psoriasis. So I definitely commend you for that. So we're out of time for today, Joy, but we definitely appreciate you joining us today on the Pharmacy Friday podcast. Mitt, do you have any final questions for Joy or thoughts for Anderson as we kind of close up here today?
Thank you both. It was a pleasure just learning from the both of you. Done a tremendous job, and a pleasure to meet both of you. So thank you both for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, take care. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you both for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, take care. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk soon.